I mean, NVIDIA like kind of always trades down on the quarter. Like, I don't even know that it could trade up possibly on this number. But I know, look, smarter people disagree with me. My colleague disagrees with me. So trading's hard. You know, if trading were easy, it'd be called printing money. I would sell that 11% implied move. I don't think it'll move 11%. As companies' market caps grow to the stratosphere like this one has, you know, the volatility tends to drop because you have everyone in the world trying to arbitrage it, right? So what are you trying to really accomplish with a $2 trillion company? You really think it's going to swing that much? I don't think so. So I would sell the straddle, right? We'll look at that in a second. You sell a straddle, you can get, right? So you want to sell a strangle maybe, but even then you could still get. That's where we go to the iron condor. I'm kidding. That's when we break out the differential equations, ordinary differential equations. Used quite a bit in AI, it turns out. So whenever somebody says, oh, you're not supposed to learn calculus, who cares, you're never going to use calculus, ha! It took about 30 years, but we found a reason to use calculus, other than calculating the weight on a bridge or the trajectory of a bullet, which is what they teach you in college or high school if you're me, or middle school or grammar school, actually. But you know, I had to relearn it in high school after learning it, you know, as a child as well. I'm kidding, of course. You know, you use chain rule and ordinary differentials, stochastic differentials, and as well as even Jacobians. And of course, linear algebras. My style of investing is value, binary events, special sits, private equity. I don't do pod. You have to have billions of dollars to do the pod thing correctly, or you farm out, you know, your capital to 10 or 20 talented traders. Jim might manage 500 million, Stacy will manage 200 million, and you know, and you just parse it out. And as they go up and down, they're almost like stocks themselves. We always used to say Steve Cohen trades people. You trade stocks, he trades people. Jack has a hot hand, you give him more capital. Jack's going cold, might be time to hit the road, Jack. Look at the CapEx that NVIDIA spends, like literally zero. Like their CapEx is literally computers, right? Like office space. Look at the acquisitions too. They don't buy other people's companies. I got NVIDIA envy. I think everyone has NVIDIA envy. Every company in America wishes they were NVIDIA right now. Although, who knows, that could come to an end. Personally, again, I have a hard time saying anything bad about the company because we're sort of partnered. And there's a big difference between a great company and a great stock. Look at that growth, man. Unbelievable, right? Gaming went up a huge amount. That was unexpected to me, at least. Automotive was flattish. And visualization also went up a bit. Okay, well, here's the outlook. They're planning on 20 billion. Gross margins of 75. Data center has become almost the entire company. All right, data center, I'm just gonna leave blank and for now, assume this is flat, assume this is up a lot. So what would it take to get to 20 billion, which is their guidance? 18 billion in revenue, which sequentially, it doesn't make a lot of sense to look at NVIDIA revenue year over year, but we'll do it anyway. But the sequential revenue, and especially data center sequential revenue, it'll be kind of interesting to look at it that way, because you can kind of think about, well, like, what are the surrogates for this? So they're telling us that data center revenue is going to grow 25% or 24%. I'm watching on the Godel terminal. If you want to try it out, you can go to godelnum.com, sign up. This is software created by yours truly, me and my team. I've been working on this software for like 7 years. Still not ready to be released. I just want to kind of annotate some of this stuff, like some of the data points of the H100 cycle. I think that'll be interesting. Earnings kind of doesn't matter to NVIDIA. It's all about the revenue number. But obviously their earnings are going through the roof, but they have a lot of operating leverage. So that's going to make it a little bit hard to see kind of what the earnings will be necessarily, right? So it's really all about that revenue. So I would say, just off the top of my head, they probably would have to come out with 22 billion for the stock to go up, maybe more. But we're going to go through that in a minute. And I kind of want to think about like, well, what do I measure to figure out, how do I figure out how many H100s were sold without breaking law? You're not supposed to know. But there's a way to, if you get back into it, that's not illegal. If the NVIDIA CFO tells you that is illegal. But one of the things we can do, well, so one of the data points I have is our cloud providers have not lowered price. They've actually raised price. So that is interesting. Because if demand were slackening, they would not be raising price, right? If there were too many GPUs, they would be lowering price or at least keeping it flat. But it takes a lot of guts to raise price unless you have demand out the yin yang. It's an old phrase. You have to bear with me. I spent 4 or 5 years away from society. Alternative data is not going to help that much. We saw the Zuck thing. That is right, OHED. Thank you for that. But alt data is not going to be useful because people aren't putting too many NVIDIAs on credit cards. I don't think Newegg is a real NVIDIA channel for H100s and A100s. The telepathy tool is not ready yet. I'm not supposed to talk about it, but yes, eventually we're making a interesting tool. I'll have more to say about it later this year. So Wall Street thinks NVIDIA is going to come out at the guidance number or even below it, and there's a little Wall Street gamesmanship with that, but they've said 20 billion, right? The way NVIDIA does business is they don't say 20 billion if they're thinking it's going to be 20 billion. They say 20 billion if they're thinking it's going to be 22 billion, right? In fact, that's one thing we can do that's kind of interesting is look at their kind of prior guidance and how they kind of handle that. And then we'll look at kind of like maybe like trying to estimate how many GPUs everyone's buying. So last quarter, I think I remember pretty clearly they said 16 billion, right? And they ended up doing 18. And people were kind of shocked by that. So they beat by 2 billion. So why shouldn't they beat by 2 billion again, right? All right, so one way to look at it is like sort of H100 volume. And so if you take this and divide by 40, you sort of get 450,000 H100s, right? Do I have this math right? 450,000 times 40,000 is 18 billion. Let's just double check that on the side here. As I got older, my math skills are getting even better. All right, that is 18 billion. So the question is, how much could they ship? And one question is, are they capacity constrained? I think the answer to that is yes. But we can also back into like, how many did they ship last quarter? And I don't think they're shipping a whole lot of other data center products other than the H100. So we're making the assumption. And now we're going to actually like try to figure out, okay, like Meta, their big customers would be Meta, Google, maybe even OpenAI, although I'm thinking they're going through Microsoft. Do we add that into one company or not? I'm not sure. Let's just try that for now. Let's add our friends at Character AI just for fun. Let me look at my AI spreadsheet, by the way. This is available on my GitHub. If you don't know how to use GitHub, I suggest you do. I think it's going to become a bigger tool even for people in finance. Let's look at the biggest AI companies by valuation and see who these chip buyers are. So we got Google, Microsoft. Of course, we forgot AWS. And then we've got like Lambda and CoreWeave who buy GPUs. We're a client of Lambda, which we highly recommend. Shout out to Lambda. Tesla's probably buying some. Is Baidu buying some? Maybe. Academics buy these too. And remember, some of these companies are buying for their cloud side and some of them are buying for their internal side. So keep that in mind. Like Google is kind of different from GCP. And even Microsoft is different from Azure, which is different from OpenAI, which is kind of crazy. And Amazon AI is actually different from AWS. So it's kind of a interesting way they handle that. Waymo and Anthropic, yeah, I guess. Probably Anthropic more than Waymo. I hate Anthropic. So yeah, it sounds like if they did 50 each, oh yeah, Oracle, good idea. Oracle and IBM. This was the pace of Meta's purchasing. I would think that Microsoft is going to be similar. One of the things that's funny about insider trading is that people who know start putting their trade on. Maybe, I don't know if maybe the market's gone down in the last 10 minutes too. So we're getting pretty close here. It's almost 30 minutes left. So let's see if we can triangulate how this all happens. I would think OpenAI has a similar scope to Meta. 30,000 H100 sounds a little high for hyperscale. GCP, I don't think it's going to have too many, but Google actually might buy more than GCP. I'm trying to see who would want to ramp sales. I don't think Salesforce would have too many. Maybe Alibaba. My genius programmer coworker, he is giving you the latency from the NASDAQ exchange to your desk. You can see that how long the NASDAQ official price tick changes, how fast it gets to your desktop at 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. You can see really when the trade happened, because unless you know exactly when the trade happened, it probably is happening later than you think it did. If you want to play with fire, play with the 0 DTEs. I can't do it. I'm too old. So 665s, which is the March 665 calls. And they're, say, $43. Okay, and now the March 65 puts. Probably a similar price, I would think, other than for skew. All right, so if you sell these, you take in $85 of premium. Price is $666, so you basically, as long as the stock trades between 581 and 751, you make money. That seems like a no-brainer. Now, keep in mind that these are the March expiry, so you can lose money. Exactly, Dean is right. You don't know when the volatility will go down, although because it's a volatile stock anyway, but you know that the volatility will drop after earnings. So, but it won't go to zero, right? Yeah, they're supply constrained, but you'd be surprised at how quickly you can solve a semiconductor supply constraint. It's not that hard. It depends on where the vol is. If the vol is expensive, then yeah, you could sell vol. We're banned from Bloomberg because we're releasing a competitor. Would you want your competitor using your software? The cost is a lot cheaper. I'm literally banned from Bloomberg. They will not let me have an account. You know, right now, like, for example, the product's like 90% off, maybe even more than that, 95% off Bloomberg. Yeah, web-based, you know, we can make a desktop version. I think it's fairly simple to do that, but I think the web's pretty exciting. Yeah, so that's my call. I think I would sell vol, and I think maybe I'd be long biased, but NVIDIA is so tricky around earnings. Like, it'll often react the opposite way it should and then recover over the next several days. And that tends to come from a crowded panic kind of dynamic that is probably arbitrageable. I'm not the kind of person that points and clicks, right? Maybe you point and click. No, I'm point and click. Can you imagine being in finance and pointing and clicking? You got one phone on your ear here, you got a headset. Buy 250,000 NVIDIA, 675 top, let's go. No, get me in, get me in. Hold on 1 second, Steve. No, I'll be right there in the meeting, keep that going. Hold on, let me put my order in. Click, click, click. That's not what Wall Streeters do. We don't do that. We're not clicking. A lot of people think NVIDIA's in a bubble. You know, typically, semiconductor stocks always have a downturn at some point. It's 20 seconds late. It's not a good sign. He's asking if Godel chat is down.
Yes.
Ah!
I think we're getting DDoSed in chat.
Okay, it looks like it's out. The stock's moving. There it is.
NVIDIA announces financial results for fourth quarter and fiscal 2024.
Let's go.
22-1.
It showed up before it did on this side. Really? Yep.
Well, that's not natural.
Let's go.
Outlook 24 billion.
It's 15, yes. Look at those price movements.
Okay, so big guidance, not as big as I thought.
So
Stock's not really doing much.
yeah, latency, well,
The sell vol trade would work pretty well. Higher gross margins, that was nice. 24 billion's good.
so,
It's a little conservative. That's not uncommon. The key is that it shows before. Oh wow, stock's trading down. The key is that it shows before like Yahoo Finance or like. I'd also want to check it against Bloomberg. Gaming did better than I thought too. So data center was, I don't know, data center wasn't that great, which is probably why the stock traded down a little bit. It's amazing how much it's come back from down 5%. What a crazy after hours is always schizophrenic. All right, well, I'll leave it you guys to listen to the conference call. I think it was pretty much as expected here. It's interesting that even with a huge guidance number, that's kind of what everyone expected. Again, something like 26 billion would have been a little better, but the revenue kind of came in. What was my prediction? I think it came in kind of, it was a little light versus my prediction. Make sure you tweet at Elon Musk, and just say unban at Martin Shkreli. So I'm using this 𝗥𝗚𝗓𝗢𝗢 thing that I'm not sure anybody knows is me. But yeah, that's the only thing I ask of you guys. I really appreciate it. Check out Godel, check out the 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢 API. I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to try to stream a little more often.